It go down in the DM. It go down, it go down. It goes down in the DM. It go down in the DM. It go down, tell it down.
How's it going, Rev fans? I'm Ethan Bird, joined by Hunter Fillmore, Rachel Hallam, and, of course, Ellison Hubbard. Your Monday Night Sports crew is back. We thought that we would do Down in the DMs quarantine edition from our homes because we miss y'all. And most of all, I think we just miss yelling at each other. How we doing, everybody?
Good.
We're doing good.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to start with a question that wasn't submitted by one person. It was mainly submitted by me after all my friends and I got in a fight in our DMs group chat about the most elite NFL offense of all time. I think I'm going to start this one off because there's no other way you could start this one off with other than facts. The 2013 Denver Broncos, statistically the best, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, backed by one of the best receiving corps in Broncos history. But before you guys get mad, let me just drop some stats on you. Most points per game scored by an NFL of all time. Most points scored in a season. Most touchdowns in a season. Most passing touchdowns. Most passing touchdowns by a quarterback. Most 50-point games in a whole season. They ranked fifth. They still had a running game, ranked 15th in yards per game that season. Let's hear any fallacies on that one, guys. What do you think, Rachel?
I knew this was coming. I knew it was going to be the Broncos. There was no way that you weren't going to say that it was them. And I was just going to have to go against it because there's no way I could ever say that you were right, first of all, or that the Broncos are going to be the best offense.
That just tells me I'm right because you're disagreeing.
No. I think that the 1998 Minnesota Vikings are up there. Come on. Randy Moss, Chris Carter on their freaking wide receiver corps. Robert Smith, the tailback that's so underrated in his career, and Randall Cunningham, who had a great career or a great season in his career. I mean, Randy Moss had 17 touchdown passes. He was over 1,300 yards, one of his 6 seasons where he had over 1,000 yards. Chris Carter, again, had over 1,000 yards. That's one of his 6 straight, too. I mean, I just don't think that you can count this team out.
That's fair.
Okay,
That's fair.
You can't count them out. They're just not number one.
Yeah, but I think that they are. I think that they are.
I think that's a good choice that both of you made. But the
Ellison's
greatest
gonna
show
take it.
on turf, the St. Louis Rams of 1999 and 2000. Just if you look at it, the NFL top 10 was that the Rams were the number one. Now, give you the benefit of the doubt there, Ethan, that the Broncos and the Rams were fighting for that number one spot. But just if you can look at the first 6 games that the Rams, 27-10, 35-7, 38-10, 42-20, 41-13, 34-3. That's Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. That is amazing right there. The people who never seen an offense like that coming in there now, I'm sure they had back in the 80s, 70s. But then they brought it back. They're doing all types of reverses and passes that just threw everybody off. And look, Super Bowl winners right there. Vikings didn't win a Super Bowl, Rachel. So I just can't put them as number one right there. Ethan, you got me right there with all of those touchdowns and Peyton Manning doing what he does best.
Yeah, I didn't hear any 50-point games in there either, bud.
Hey, you're right. But come on, the greatest show on turf during that time, they're going to be number one for as long as we live. Until somebody like maybe the Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs take over, which I'm sure they probably have now. But till then, I'm going with that right there.
Yeah, I completely agree with Ellison and all of you. And those are all really great teams. But the team that I had to go with was the 1994 49ers. The Steve Young, Jerry Rice combo was just unreal. Steve Young had a completion percentage of 70.3%, 42 total touchdowns. I mean, that's the offense that I have to go with. All of these offenses you notice have great receiving corps, great quarterbacks. So I think that's kind of the formula that really came with these great offenses, and that's what we've really seen. But I can't go with the Broncos, Ethan.
Well, why? I think that just shows the flaw in your argument. Just because you don't like the Broncos, you don't choose them.
I mean, I think the receiving corps in every other team that we've chose are better than that Broncos receiving core.
Yeah, you're just
Well, the receiving
all
core,
hardcore
maybe, but what
Broncos.
I'm talking about, greatest show on turf, yeah, maybe. They were probably the most fun NFL offense to watch ever, yeah?
Yeah.
But the points, the stats are there for the Broncos, and I'm a big stats guy. This isn't even a homer pick. Yeah, I loved watching it, and it's great. I remember more 2013 Broncos games than I remember games from the past 3 seasons. However, the numbers are there.
I guess we'll give you that. We'll give you that.
All great teams, but I'm sticking with where I'm at. So.
And that's your prerogative, I guess.
So we wanted to go with this one. We Thomas Best, one of my old teammates, he asked me a question. He was saying, will the Buccaneers, make a playoff push with Tom Brady? That is his favorite player. So of course he would ask that question. And the new added playoff spot. Let's go with you, Hunter. What do you think about this question right here?
I think it's going to be very hard for this team to make a playoff push with that division, but I think they're going to do it. I mean, Tom Brady has only missed the playoffs twice in his whole time of starting. And I mean, there's those 2 other teams that have that really big 3-headed dragon, like Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas. Then you go to the Falcons team, and they have Matt Ryan and now Todd Gurley and Julio Jones. I think that's going to be a difficult position, but I think they're going to be able to get into that playoff spot with Tom Brady, and Bruce Arians is still a great head coach. And you look at Mike Evans and Goodwin, my bad, Goodwin, and you look at what Jameis did with that. Tom Brady's going to make better decisions than Jameis did, so I think they're going to get into the playoffs. I can't see them not.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hunter. I mean, you can't put Tom Brady on a team and not make the playoffs. I think, is water wet? Does Tom Brady make the playoffs? Yes. I think that's just about all you can wrap it up to. But I don't think it'll be as much of a struggle. Matt Ryan isn't the quarterback that he used to be. I personally don't think Matt Ryan is anywhere near the quarterback that he used to be, but that's one guy's opinion. But, yeah, Jameis Winston, there's not going to be another 30-30 season in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that too. I mean, Tom Brady's a great quarterback, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a little hard for them just because, I mean, they're going on 12 straight seasons of not making the playoffs. Since 2007, the Bucs have not been in the playoffs. And I think that, Tom Brady's going to be a great asset for them. But I don't know. I don't think you can base it all off of one player. And now that he has this receiving core with Goodwin and he's got Evans and everything, I think it's going to be great offense, but you can't rely all on the offense. The defense needs to come into play there too, and the coaching staff needs to help them out too. But I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see. Plus, the Super Bowl will be in Tampa Bay this season, so who knows? Tom Brady might want to make a push to play in his home field.
It might push him a little bit right there. See, I'm saying the same thing with all of you that, yes, this will be a dogfight for the Buccaneers to make that playoff spot. You're facing the Saints, and the Saints are good every year in that division. The Falcons, they are rebuilding defensively wise. So this will be a struggle for the Falcons facing Tom Brady, who's very experienced, and, of course, Mike Evans and other receivers along with O.J. Howard. The Panthers just aren't there yet to stop Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. So they're on a real rebuild process. So, of course, I think Tom Brady and them are going to make a push. The only thing that's going to, that's holding him back is this pandemic, this virus that is holding him from learning that playbook. But he is so smart, playing for a long time. He can learn this on the spot. And it's just going to be him and the Buccaneers. And, of course, like you said, that defense has to make that step up. Shaq Barrett and them are giving it their all on that D-line. But can the secondary, can the linebackers lead that defense to make those stops, to make that big push for them past the Saints in that playoff spot? So that's what my take is on that. I believe Tom Brady is going to make the Falcons just remember that Super Bowl they had, which it hurts me to say it, but yes. I see a playoff spot in the future for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's just going to solidify his GOAT status, and I think we all want it for Shaq Barrett. You got to see Shaq Barrett in the playoffs.
Former Ram, definitely
again.
That. Exactly.
All right, well, I think we're kind of all in agreement with that one. So let's move on to the next question. Our third question comes from Zachariah Henderson, and he asks, do you think the NCAA will be able to recover financially from the shutdown of events? Ellison, why don't you start us off with this one? What do you think?
Well, reading from multiple sources, athletic directors are just scared that they aren't going to recover financially from this. That was, reading this, there's about $375 million that they put in that NCAA tournament. That is a lot of money. And football is a huge money maker. College football is a huge money maker. But it's not going to, equal the amount of what they put in this tournament and how it just got shut down like this. So I don't think they're going to recover. They're saying they might have to take some money away from coaches, stipend checks, and other things in the fall. And it's going to be an effect for this fall. But eventually they will recover. Just right now, as it looks, athletic directors are scared. They don't know what's going to happen. They're saying about 20% of revenue in decrease. So it sucks for me as a football player just to know that this is gonna affect us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think that the NCAA itself they'll be fine. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But what you have to think about here is the smaller schools that are going to suffer the most, especially the smaller schools that got into the NCAA tournament that aren't in big conferences, that got there on a Cinderella trip through their conference tournament. Like those are the teams that you have to worry about, and those are the schools that you have to worry about. I mean, CSU itself will be fine. The football program alone was ranked second in all of the Group 5 teams in the gross amount of money. CSU made $25 million off of football alone last year, off of a team that we know probably shouldn't have brought in $25 million. But it's a small conference, small school teams that are going to suffer the most from this, and it's sad because a lot of those teams, maybe they only have a D1 basketball program. They don't have a football program. So the NCAA, I don't have a doubt in my mind they have enough money to still be very financially stable after this. They're going to have to find a way to support those smaller schools.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sorry, Hunter. I do think that they're going to be able to recover from this financially, but like Ellison said, it's going to take a little time, I think. I know that there's a lot of money that goes into the March Madness tournament itself with ticket revenue and just in general, merchandise, everything. Like going to the games costs a lot of money. These kids are bringing in so much money for their schools. And like Ethan, like you said, like these these smaller schools are definitely going to take a hit from this because who knows, maybe this was their one chance that they were in the NCAA tournament. Maybe they don't get it in the future. They can't get that money back. And I don't know. I think it's going to be really difficult, but I do think that it's going to get to the point where they can be financially stable. Just it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I kind of looked at it a little bit. March Madness brings in 75% of the annual revenue for the NCAA, which is a huge chunk. I personally don't think the NCAA is going to take that big of a hit, but like you talk about, these smaller schools and all these little schools that got that chance and everything, they're the ones that are going to take the hit, but the NCAA itself is probably not going to take that hit. But yeah,
absolutely,
that's completely agree with you guys. So we're going to go into our final question, which was given by Zach Sorensen, 16, and he asked Tua versus Burrow. Who are you taking first in the draft and why? And I guess we'll just start off with Ethan here.
Okay. I gotta go. I mean, if I'm putting my GM cap on, for me, gotta go Joe Burrow, CEO of going undefeated, CEO of post game cigars. Yeah, that guy, the man, Joe Burrow. But yeah, Joe Burrow has some questions. He only played one season. He's not as seasoned as Tua, but Tua has the biggest question of them all right now, and it's his body.
Yeah.
His body. You gotta he's got his ankle, now his hip. The questions are around his body, and when you're looking at a draft prospect, one of the first questions you ask is his body sound. Well, especially a first pick draft prospect. Will he be able to produce for my team right away, and the longevity of that production? And Joe Burrow answers that question, and it's yes. And for me, Tua, extremely talented. If he hadn't have gotten hurt and if he didn't have the chronic problems that he does, I would have said Tua. But for me, Joe Burrow, next.
Okay, but if you're bringing up his injury report, yeah, he has a history of injuries, but you're talking about his hip problem that he just had. He just came out with his CT scan, and he's positive. His hip is doing well. He just has another month before he's cleared. I think that he's going to use this injury itself to just boost himself and just become a much better player. He's already a great player. He's a great quarterback. His only problem, I think, is that he doesn't really have that ability to get rid of the football when he's under pressure, and that definitely can hurt him when it comes to playing in the NFL especially. But I don't think you can base it just off of his injury. I know that he's had some problems in the past, but I think that he's going to use this to kind of motivate himself and become that better player. And when you're looking at Joe Burrow, yeah, he had a great season, but maybe it was just like a lightning in the bottle kind of moment, and he was just great with the players that he had around him. He had a fantastic wide receiver core, an amazing offensive line. He had a great running back and great tight ends. I mean, there was no person he couldn't target during a game. And for him, that's great for any quarterback. But I don't know. I think it kind of made him look more a bit of a star than it really could have come out to be. He had a lot of help from his offense, and I think that's going to make a difference, especially if he gets drafted by like the Cincinnati Bengals. Then I don't know how well he's going to be doing in the
he'll still have AJ Green.
Yeah, if he stays healthy.
He doesn't have anything else helping him out, so.
I mean, he's still got to get the ball into those windows, and he did. I digress.
I don't know what you're thinking.
All right, I'll go next. I think that I'm going to have to agree with Ethan on this one. I think looking at Tua, it's just – I think the main thing for me is you have the Bengals. That's the top pick. You have to look at who's going to fit into that offense the best. And I think that Joe Burrow is just going to fit into that offense way better than Tua. I mean, they've had Andy Dalton. I see more similarities with Burrow. I know the Bengals haven't had that success, but another thing you look at is Tua's injuries and the fact that he's more of a running quarterback. He likes to get out of that pocket. He likes to run. And that we've seen that with RG3, where he was a great running quarterback and he had injury problems, and that just kind of forced him out of the game because he kept getting injured. So I could see if Tua doesn't stay healthy, he doesn't figure out how to play in that NFL setting with bigger guys hitting you harder. I mean, that's why I would go with Joe Burrow, because Tua is just too much of a risk at that point.
Yeah, you got Tua and Burrow. Both had a shootout when they played each other during the season. And injuries are detrimental to your career, as we see here with RG3 and other players. I'm going with Burrow here, even though, when I was looking up things, Burrow, yes, Tua missed a few games. Burrow had more interceptions. He had a lower QBR, surprising to me. But he can move. He can run. He can get out of the pocket. He can make guys miss. He can actually take hits, as you can see. There was a UCF game about 2 years ago where he took a big hit and then 2 plays later scored a touchdown on them. When I was talking about making players miss, and it's huge to get a sack as a D lineman. Just for me, you get back there, you're like, it's a wide open shot. But a quarterback that can get out of there, that's like, I need him on that offense to lead the team down the field. And when the guy is coming down there to make the sack, let's say you're facing a Dominican Sue or an Aaron Donald, you got to make a miss. Bam, he can make the miss and throw deep. He's a good deep passer. He can make plays out of nothing. So I see Joe Burrow as a front runner for the Bengals and staying healthy, as hopefully, if the players in the NFL, they can play a little dirty. Hopefully they don't hurt my man Joe Burrow. But I can see him being, I compare him to a Dak Prescott. So, but just, better with making decisions.
Hopefully not.
That's just better with making decisions and getting out. So I'm going with Joe Burrow on this just because he can do it all. And, if Tua was healthy, I would choose Tua by a landslide, because that a left-handed quarterback that can run and can throw deep passes and do everything you ask for, I'm taking that. But with that knee injury, you're kind of like, I don't know how long you're going to last. When I can get Joe Burrow, who's healthy and number one, and I'm paying you all this money to come out here and turn this program around. So that's
Exactly.
where I'm sitting at right there with Joe Burrow.
All right, it's being the lone voice of dissent. Any closing comments before we wrap up?
No, Joe Burrow gets in there. I hope he does something different. Tom Brady, I really hope he doesn't take out the Falcons, but that's a all-star right there. Just looking at that right there with those two quarterbacks, that's all I got to close with on those two.
I'm just waiting for the draft, honestly. I think it's going to be really exciting. Never know really what's going to happen. So hopefully we have some.
Yeah, at least there is a draft.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something to talk about soon.
All right. Yeah, something to talk about. All right, Ram fans. That is, we're all questioned up. That's all. That's all the questions that we've got for today. I mean, for me, I know it was a pleasure to get out here and make some content. The four of us and all of us at CTV Sports are committed to bringing y'all CTV and sports related content in these weird times and these tough times. So hopefully we can keep joining you in your journey. Stay home, stay healthy. And for myself, Ethan Bird, Hunter Fillmore, Rachel Hallam, and Ellison Hubbard, have a great day, Rams. We'll see you later.
Have a great day.